If you've ever thought that you want passive income through commercial real estate, but you don't want tenants calling you at midnight, this video is for you. Most people do not get stuck because triple net is complicated. They get stuck because they don't know what their next step is. Today, I'm going to walk you through a simple, practical process to get started. Hi, my name is René Nelson, and I'm a CCIM and a commercial real estate broker, and I help people buy passive real estate, including triple net properties. I also own triple net properties myself, so I understand what is intriguing to investors. You're looking for predictable cash flow. You want less day-to-day involvement with your property. I live in Oregon. I personally wanted to get away from rent control and having the government dictate when I could charge future rent increases. And I was looking for a plan that felt calmer and more predictable. You know, most people watching these videos are not subscribers. If this is helpful, please hit subscribe. It helps the algorithm reach more investors like yourself, and it'll also give you our next video that I'm about ready to put out. So here's a quick note before we get started. This is general information. This is not tax advice, legal advice, or investment advice. You need to seek out a lender or your CPA to help you confirm what fits in your situation. Now, let's define triple net in plain English. Many triple net leases, the tenant pays the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance. You receive the rent. You still own the real estate and you can have that risk, but usually you have fewer risks and less day-to-day management problems than other property types. Here's the truth that most people need to hear. To do this well, you need clarity on three things. Your capital, meaning how much money do you actually have to work with? Your timeline, meaning how soon do you need to generate income and how long do you plan to hold? And your risk factor, meaning can you live around some uncertainty if you're not sure if the tenant is going to renew the lease or not? So here's a step-by-step process. I'm going to give you 8 steps. You can follow them in order, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do. Step 1, decide what passive income means to you. Some people want 0 tenant interaction and 0 maintenance calls. Some people are fine with a little involvement if the return is higher. So write down your definition or put your definition in your mind because it will determine what you should buy. Step 2, get real about the capital. Most investors I talk to start with around $500,000 to invest. Yes, you could start lower, but here's the trade-off. The less cash that you can bring into the transaction, you're often going to see shorter lease terms or smaller markets or higher cap rates that reflect more risk. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just means that you need to understand what you are buying. As your availability of cash goes up, you'll typically get access to a deeper tenant pool and more opportunities and longer term lease, and often tenants who are not going to exit as quick with the short lease terms. That's why most investors aim for a larger down payment and a higher purchase price because that gives them more buying power and more certainty. Step 3, get pre-qualified or talk to a lender so you can understand the financing expectations right up front. Many triple net buyers use leverage. It's called using other people's money. You use other people's money or the lender's money to make money, and that can be smart, but you need to know the common range. For many single triple net lease loans, lenders are often looking for larger down payments. A practical range is 30 to 40% down, depending on the tenant and the term and the location and your experience. Sometimes it can be less, sometimes it can be a little more, depending on the risk that's built in. But if you plan for 30 to 40%, you'll usually be right in the sweet spot when you start that conversation with lenders. So here's what that means. $300,000 available for a down payment and reserves. You may be shopping roughly in the $750,000 to $1 million range, depending on the loan terms. If you have $600,000 available, you may be shopping closer to $1.5 million to $2 million for a triple net property. These are not promises. These are just planning math so you can set realistic expectations. Step 4, set your minimum lease requirements. Here's where most people get enlightened because it can change how you interpret cap rate. Lease term is the runaway. It's how many years of contractual rent are you buying? And here's a simple guideline. If you want maximum stability, target longer remaining terms. often 10 years or more. If you want higher yield and you can accept more uncertainty, you may be fine with the midterm deals where there's often 6 to 9 years remaining. And if you're looking for 5 years or less remaining, you are buying an expiration event, which is fine, but only if you're being paid for it and you have a clear plan B and a clear exit plan. Step 5, define your buy box in writing. I've created a previous video that talks about creating a buy box and a buying template. A buy box is the fastest way to save time and make good decisions. And here's what to include: your price range, your minimum cash flow target, your minimum lease term, your preferred markets, your metros for whether you want to be in a small market or a large market or a mix, and your hold period. Are you looking to hold for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? When you have this written down, you stop chasing every listing. You start comparing deals against your criteria, and it actually becomes kind of fun. Step 6, learn the 4 risks you are really underwriting. Every triple net deal has a 4 risk bucket system. Tenant risk is 1. Who's on the lease and how strong is the tenant? Term risk. How much time are you buying and what happens at the expiration? Real estate risk. If the tenant leaves, what do you own and can you re-tenant it? Liquidity risk. How easy is it to sell later and who will buy it from you? Most beginners only look at the tenant name and the cap rate, and that's not enough. Step 7, screen deals quickly using the offering memorandum. You do not need to do a full deep dive and create an Excel spreadsheet on every listing. You can do a 10-minute screening and either move on quickly or move one or a couple of these to your top list. Write down the annual rent shown in the offering, write down the lease expiration date and calculate the years remaining. Note the asking cap rate and then ask the exit question. If I hold this for 3 years, what does the remaining term look like when I sell it? If I hold it for 5 years, what does the remaining term look like when I sell it? If the deal only works if you assume an easy renewal, that's a huge red flag. Your underwriting should work even without a perfect outcome. Step 8, build your team before you go under contract. You do not have to do this alone. You need a lender who understands triple net leases. You need a CPA who understands your tax picture, and you need a broker who can help you screen opportunities and avoid landmines. Now, let's talk about what happens after you find a deal you like. Here's the typical path. You request the lease and the lease abstract so you know who's on the lease and what the terms are. You confirm the rent schedule and any increases, and you review taxes, insurance, and any key property details because you want to know who's responsible for maintaining those expenses and who's going to be paying for those. If you're buying a property like a 7-Eleven or a fuel site, you also want to know if there's any environmental sensitive issues, and you can usually verify that looking at environmental reports. They're called phase 1 or phase 2 environmental reports. And you align the deal with your hold period and your exit plan. This is where having a clear process creates confidence. Not hype, not guessing, a process. Let me tie this back to the reality of starting with smaller amounts. Yes, you can start with around $500,000, but you should expect trade-offs, often shorter terms, higher cap rates, or thinner markets. If your goal is to maximize stability, you may decide to build more capital first or to use financing with a stronger down payment so you can buy longer term. Here's your simple action plan for this week. Number 1, write down your investable cash and the down payment you're comfortable with. Number 2, choose your minimum lease term requirement. Number 3, write your buy box on one page. Number 4, talk with a lender about realistic down payment and loan terms for your profile. And number 5, start screening deals using the 10-minute screen process. If you want help with this in your situation, I've created a guide on how to buy triple net properties. If you're watching on YouTube, it's linked in the description. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can request it by going to my website at eugene-commercial.com, download the PDF, review it, and then schedule a free 15-minute discovery call with me. We'll walk through your goals, build your buy box, and I can help you even screen a few deals to find what actually fits. Let me leave you with a thought that matters most. Triple net investing can be simple, but it's not casual. Clarity on capital, lease terms, and exit plan is what turns it into financial stability instead of stress. If this was helpful, please hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm share with other investors. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.